Hey, American Contractors, viewers of the American Contractor Show. I'm here with John Dye at Win the Storm, and I have to tell you, anyone that is associated with American Contractor Show, you are a badass.
Big shout out to American Contractor Show. If you don't know, you definitely need to check out the Storm Summit. They're doing it in excellence. Check them out.
Hey, what's up? This is your friend, Francisco Serrano. If you haven't checked it out, American Contractor Show, YouTube channel, Facebook channel, Twitter, Instagram, all the platforms, you need to go them, like them, start learning about your craft.
Hey, I'm Matt Danskin with Restoration Referral System. Check out the American Contractor Show. The truck that they've got is awesome. Everything else that they have going on.
This is Larry Bache with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for the for changing from DMO to RFG and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I as a contractor appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor that's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
And a good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. My name is meteorologist Heather Kane. It's time for our daily hail forecast. We have to thank our sponsors. First, though, we have the C3 Group as well as Merlin Law Group and American Contractor. Thank you guys, as always, for sponsoring our videos. So let's jump into our weather headlines. We once again have a chance to see wind in the northeast today, and then into what did you do? Oh, so I guess Frank is Mike because he broke it. Not really. I guess it's just being a pain. So we're just gonna wait for a second for him to do. So I sound good. Do I sound better?
It's still a little fuzzy, but I guess we're just gonna march out.
We're just gonna roll with it. Okay, technology. All right, so like I was saying, we do have a chance to see another chance to see hail tomorrow, possibly in Montana. And then we're going to take a look at the tropics to see if anything is brewing out there. So before we get into the actual forecast and all that fun stuff, we got to talk about the events that we have coming up. We have our 2021 hurricane season round table. This is now on Friday, the 23rd at 2. So make sure you look out for our links to that. It'll be both on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll just be talking about what we experienced last year in terms of the hurricane season and what we are kind of expecting or predicting what's going to be going on for this season. And then next we have the NTRCA mini trade show at the Grapevine Convention Center on August 4th down again in Grapevine, Texas. So if you're going to that, make sure you come by and say hi to us. And lastly, this is a pretty cool event. This is not until September 15th down in Norman, so right down the road from us here at Hail Trace. This is the Thunder Road Race for Recovery at the Oklahoma Motorsports Complex. You're guaranteed, I believe, 2 races. There are going to be food trucks, music, and a lot of cool things. And all of the proceeds for this event are going to roofers in recovery. So basically, roofers who are recovering from addiction, so alcohol, drug addiction. Also, that's pretty cool. So if you're interested in that, the link is in the description below. So let's take a look at yesterday's storm reports. We saw a few in the west, but a pretty good amount of activity happened in the east yesterday. A few scattered hail reports about. A lot of these, though, are wind reports. I'll get to our we have a 3-star map available. I'll get to that in just a second. But out in the west, we saw some scattered reports. Nothing too major. Is in pretty rural areas. So let's take a look at our numbers that we saw yesterday and see where we are for this, or how far we've come for this time of the year. We saw 129 report yesterday. We saw 24 large hail reports and 132 high wind reports. And so far for the year, we're up to 113, a little over 4,000 reports and a little over 10,200 high wind reports. And compared to this time last year, we're still incredibly behind. I don't think I really need to go into this in a whole lot of detail. We're behind you guys. I don't know if we're really going to be making up those numbers. Sorry. Our 3-star map from yesterday. This is on our site. If you're a subscriber, you should have access to this. If you just want the individual map, you can go and purchase that online. But it was in Niagara Falls, Cornwall, Ontario, Canada, as well as a few places here in New York. The maximum size was 2.5 inches in diameter, and the number of homes impacted with quarter size or larger was a little over 16,400. So again, that's on our site if you want to go and purchase that. So let's take a look at our current conditions. We do have some showers in the southern part of the U.S. along the Gulf with basically a cold front that's taking its jolly old time, making its way through the lower 48. Pretty quiet in the middle of the country, but we do have some activity in the northeast. This is a severe thunderstorm watch out until 8 p.m. Eastern time. The specs for this are up to 70-mile-per-hour gusts and up to 1.5 inch diameter hail possible within this watch area. And you can see we are starting to see some storms developing in southeast Pennsylvania, and this will the east, and we also have some activity going on in New Jersey, and this will continue to fill in as we get through the next few hours. And now we have, it's quiet right now in Montana. We could see a few scattered showers and storms develop later on this afternoon and evening here as well. But right now it's pretty quiet, although there's a lot of smoke going on from those wildfires in the west. A few showers out in the northwestern part of the state. And then lastly, we got to take a look at Arizona here. As of right now, pretty quiet besides all that smoke in the air, but we could see some isolated shower and storm activity in the Phoenix area later on. So let's take a look at our temperatures. Not too bad. We've seen worse. It's 80 in Atlanta, 90 down in Miami, some 70s in New York City to Fort Wayne, northward to Minneapolis. Pretty toasty 86 in Denver, and then cooler along the western coast. It's only 65 in Portland and 74 in Los Angeles, and those dew points are pretty sticky. Once we get above 65 and we enter the upper 60s and into the 70s, you can really start feeling that heaviness and stickiness in the air, and you can see we do have plenty of that. So 69 for dew point in St. Louis, same in Atlanta, 77 for a dew point in Miami, extremely sticky, which is typical. It's tropical weather down there, and 75 down in New Orleans, a little bit cooler as we go to the west. And if you want to cool off, or if you want to get more comfortable, you gotta go to the and westward, where dew points are a lot lower out there. And I mentioned the smoke. I'm just going to touch on this a bit. A lot of smoke is going on with those wildfires in California and Nevada, and you can see these brighter colors here. The brighter the colors, the more smoke that's in the air, and you can see it's very smoke filled in the eastern part of the U.S. as well as near the Canadian U.S. border, Minneapolis, northward into Winnipeg. It's pretty smoky, and it's going to continue to be like that for the next, for a while. But yeah, it's not going to be getting any better. So if you are sensitive to smoke or dust or anything like that, I would stay inside until these conditions start to improve. But yeah, the eastern part, not looking very good, and it's even worse where the wildfires are going on in the west. So take care if you do have anything like asthma or anything like that. So let's take a look at our future radar. We're going to take a look at the northeast first. This is one model, one run of it. You guys know how it rolls by now. Some showers and storms are ongoing, and as we get into the next few hours, we are expecting more development in the southeastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, northward along that northeast coast, all the way up into Maine. And as we get to 6 p.m. Central Time, so 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I think a lot of it will start to move off the coast, although a few areas could still see some thunderstorm activity. Eastern Maine down into parts of Connecticut, maybe as far south as southern New Jersey. But then as we get into later on in the evening, you can see most of this is going to be offshore, and then will quiet down as we get into the overnight hours. And now let's take a look at Montana. We're pretty quiet right now, but as we get near dinner time, we are expecting some isolated to scattered activity. Not a whole lot in terms of severe weather, but there is a marginal chance that we could see some severe weather here, especially in the middle part of the state. And then as we get into 1 a.m. or so, it looks like a lot of this will start to quiet down and enter into Canada. So that's another area. And then lastly, we have to take a look at Arizona, where we do have another area where we have to keep an eye on for very isolated summertime pop-up storms. So an isolated gust or two is possible here in Arizona, Phoenix, down to Tucson. We have to keep an eye on you guys. It's at 5 p.m. our time. Getting into later on in the evening, you can see once we get near 9 p.m., a lot of this activity, as the sun goes down, will start to diminish, and we should quiet down as we get into the overnight hours for that area as well. So let's take a look at our hail forecast. Not expecting a whole lot in terms of a large hail today, but we do have a marginal chance to see up to $0.5 size hail from Boston down to New York City, Philadelphia, and our Richmond, Virginia. Again, there is that area until 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so that's your guys' time zone. So make sure you guys keep an eye to hail trace for any developing storms. Now we have Montana, low risk to see $0.25 to $0.5 size hail here in Great Falls and into Helena, Montana. And then I believe that is it for the hail risk. Arizona is going to be wind. And speaking of winds, we do have a few areas to talk about in terms of the wind. Up to 70-mile-per-hour gusts are possible from Boston down to New York City, Philadelphia, same areas down to Richmond. I think the largest or the highest potential for that wind will be here from New York to Philadelphia, down into New Jersey. Elsewhere, maybe 60-mile-per-hour gusts for more isolated activity. Then we got Montana, up to 60-mile-per-hour gusts for those isolated storms that develop. Not expecting a whole lot out of those. And the same story for those summertime pop-up storms here in Arizona, although an isolated gust up to 60 miles per hour, or 68 miles per hour is not out of the question for Phoenix down into Tucson. So let's take a look at the jet stream. I mean, it's been basically the same thing that we've been talking about. The jet stream is very much into Canada. It's going to start warming up a lot more here in the middle of the country as we get into the next few days. That system that we're dealing with in the northeast will slowly move off the coast. It may be a little bit cooler than average up in the northeast. Elsewhere, though, it's going to start getting a little bit toasty. And as we get into, this is Friday, really not a whole lot in terms of major systems. Marginal chance here and there for severe weather. Otherwise, it should be relatively quiet. And as we get into the weekend, same deal. It's going to be heating up. That system in the northeast will be off the coast, maybe a little bit cooler there, but yeah, it's going to get hot, you guys. So let's take a look at tomorrow's radar. We do have tomorrow's radar model run. This is for Montana. We do have a small chance to see some severe weather tomorrow here in Montana. Very isolated, though. We're not really expecting anything robust, and I think as of right now it's going to be in the form of wind. We're not expecting anything in terms of hail right now, so we will see that storm development go on through the afternoon and evening. In Montana, move into parts of North Dakota, maybe as far east as northwestern South Dakota, as well as it'll start to cross into the Canadian border once we get into the overnight hours. So here's our hail forecast for tomorrow. Nothing. So we are not expecting anything in terms of severe hail as of right now, but we do have a chance to see severe wind. And pretty much it's going to be a very rural area. The largest city that I found was Miles City, Montana. So up to 60-mile-per-hour gusts are possible there for tomorrow. Now let's take a look at our future thing to see if there's anything going on. We do have a chance to see severe weather on Friday from Winnipeg. Yes, we do cover the larger cities in Canada. So Winnipeg down south to International Falls, northern part of Minnesota, and into parts of the western part of the upper peninsula of Michigan. So yeah, this is still a few days out. A lot of things can change, but yeah, this is the area that we're watching for Friday. Now, lastly, whoever's been doing some tropical dances, here you go. We do have a new area that we are watching in parts of the Atlantic here along the southeastern coast. Within the next 2 days, we don't expect anything in terms of development, but within the next 5 days, there's a 20% chance that this could develop into something. So it's really low in terms of something developing, but it's not zero. So keep your fingers crossed. Hey, something can happen. So that's all that I have for you today. Make sure that if you haven't already, that you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. And if you have any questions, concerns, or you just want to say hi, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com and check out our website at www.hailtrace.com, where we have more information about us and our products. And yeah, just feel free to reach out if you need any help, as that is what we are here to do. We're here to help you. And I am meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday.